Hi guys, sorry we're a little bit late.
A drink or shot?
Yeah, you can do, yeah. So just to clarify, this is embargoed until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then we'll have a short section at the end, embargoed until 10:30 p.m. tomorrow. And we'll start with Rob Dorset, Sky Sports News.
Jack, nice to see you. Last few training sessions before the World Cup squad is chosen. We've just been working it out. We think there are 3 more full sessions before Gareth has to pick his squad. So obviously 2 more games before he picks his squad. So do you sense that? Do you sense a sort of ramping up of the pressure and the expectation and the excitement amongst the squad, knowing that's just round the corner?
Yeah, I think it's always, it's always going to be in the back of your mind. I think for us, it's something that we're obviously aware of, but something that we're all embracing, especially, I'm not going to speak for the manager, but I'm sure, he's got certain players that, will 100% go to the World Cup, and then there's obviously probably certain places and numbers, that are still up for grabs. So, we're just all training as normal. We have two matches now that are going to be very tough opposition. And this is really like your pre-World Cup camp. We were saying obviously before the Euros we had a good few weeks and training sessions. We had good friendlies and stuff, and we're not going to get that this time. But everyone's in the same boat, so it's something that we need to embrace and look forward to.
Fabio Capello's actually said that England have got a really good chance at this World Cup because it's a Winter World Cup. He thinks that. He says he didn't get that opportunity when he was in charge. Do you agree with him though? Do you think it'll suit the English players, the fact that the intensity of the Premier League season, we're not at the end of a long season, it'll be a couple of months in?
Yeah, no, I generally do. I don't want to put too much pressure on the team, but I generally do. We have world-class players, all over the pitch, playing for big clubs. We have a great captain and a great striker. So yeah, I think we've got a brilliant chance. I think it possibly could help, that the tournaments during the season. And yeah, it's just something that we need to look forward to. Take each game as it comes, and it'd be obviously an unbelievable feeling to even play in a World Cup. For myself personally, but yeah, as a team, I do think we have a good chance.
Kevin De Bruyne has been speaking about you, and he says that he thinks you're unfairly targeted, as a lot of English players are. He says because he thinks there's this English mentality of criticising their own, so that if Italian players, for example, went out or for a night out, they wouldn't be treated in the same way as when English players are spotted out on a night out. Do you think he's right?
I'll ask you, do you?
Yeah, I think he is right.
I don't know. I want to be friends with you all. No, I can obviously see where he's coming from a little bit. But when I think that's just the way it is in this country. And especially if you myself playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world who are winning trophies every single year, and obviously. When I have a price tag on my head that I have, people are gonna want to talk. So it's just something, that I need to, I keep going back to it, saying embracing it, and it's just part and parcel, really. But yeah, I do see where he's coming from a little bit.
Are you struggling with that a little bit? I mean, look, when you go to a club like City, you have to be a bit patient in taking your opportunities and knowing you're not going to play every game. You didn't have that at Aston Villa, obviously. So I just wonder whether that's hard for you. I wonder whether that's that's more difficult for you to adjust when you were the main man, first name on the team sheet, and now you're at a world-class club where you're not necessarily, and that must be quite difficult to take sometimes.
Yeah, of course, because it's all I've ever been used to. Especially the last before I moved to City 3-4 years. I knew that I was going to play every game, every minute of every game, and I was captain there, and like he says, I was one of the first names on the team sheet. When you come to now a club like City, who just obviously this is no disrespect to the people that I was with at Villa. It was a brilliant club with very good players. But when you come to City and you have the likes of Kevin, Phil, I could go on and on. It's difficult. We've even got a fullback at the moment in João Cancelo, who I reckon is one of the best wingers in the world. So yeah, it's obviously different. It's difficult at times, because when I was at Villa, for example, I had that. Well, I just played every game. You felt like you was in a rhythm. But listen, you're going to get that. When you're playing at a club, with so many top players, and as long as we're training well and we're playing well, it's all right.
On a serious note, when you step out of the San Siro, you and your teammates are going to be the first England footballers to sing "God Save the King" instead of "God Save the Queen." I wonder whether that's going to be a pretty poignant moment for you.
Well, we actually done it the other day, didn't we, before the game? So that was the first ever time I've ever had to sing that. It was quite emotional actually. When we done it at the Molineux, and it was obviously different. But yeah, I think it's been a difficult few weeks. I obviously watched the funeral yesterday, and yeah, it was difficult, but I think it was very, very fitting.
Last one from me. Obviously, it's Italy away, and you'll remember the Euros final. I wonder whether that'll go through your mind when you step out of the San Siro, and whether a certain Jorginho will come into your thoughts as well from what happened at extra time. He's probably going to play. It looks like he's going to play.
It'd be nice then. Obviously, how long ago was that now? 14, 15 months ago. Obviously still plays in our mind, just a game in general, getting to a final. It's not something that, it's obviously a great feeling, to get there, but, we all wanted to win. Going to the San Siro, it's an iconic stadium, somewhere that I've never been. I've always wanted to play there or even go there as a fan. It'll be unbelievable. Obviously, I know you touched on the Jorginho tackle. I've obviously played against him a lot in my career. It's just something, that happens in football. It's just part and parcel, that one.
Rise above it.
Yeah, I'll try.
Kerry Brown.
55 seconds. Couldn't wait another minute to score.
Do you know what? I didn't know it was that quick. I actually thought it was about 4 or 5 minutes. I don't know why. I think it is because I was getting booed every time I got the ball. But no, it was nice, nice to finally just get off the mark for the season. Obviously, the last few weeks, I've been injured, so I think any footballer will tell you that when you come back from pre-season, even the first 2-3 games in the Premier League season is always difficult because you just don't feel 100% fit. So to get an injury, on the second game it weren't the best. And since then, I've just been trying to build up my fitness. So I know I obviously had a fair bit of stick about my performance against Dortmund, but it was a nice way to reply on Saturday.
How has your relationship with Pep Guardiola developed, and what does he bring into your game now that you've worked under him for quite a period of time now?
It's completely different to the way I was at Villa. I think at Villa I was more free. Here it's more structured at City. I have a great relationship with the manager. I've said in so many interviews, he's just, I've never seen anything like it. The way he thinks and the way he looks at football. He's just obsessed with it, and I think you can tell why, and you can see why. But no, I have a good relationship with him. I know people have saying that I might be playing a bit different to the way I used to, but I think that just comes with the players that I'm playing with as well. I play with so many top players, like I just touched on earlier, and it was obviously going to change my game a little bit. I'm never going to be the exact same player that I was because I'm playing for a different club with a different team and a different manager. But hopefully now this is the start of my season and I can just kick on from here.
Does that give you more strings to your bow, as it were, for England in terms of your adaptability and how you can play in a squad system going to a World Cup?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I do like to think that I can play in a few positions, whether that be as a number 8, a left winger. Obviously, I started one game at the Euros last year, and I actually started that game as a number 10. I think it was Mason, wasn't it, who had COVID. Yeah, so I obviously started as a number 10 that day, and I enjoyed it. I feel like I can play in a few positions, and I think, I hope so anyway, that's what the manager will look at, going into a World Cup.
And how reassuring is that? We've seen with Harry Maguire, he's not been getting starts for Manchester United, but he's into the squad. You've been out injured. Did Gareth speak to you beforehand about coming into the squad? He seems to really appreciate what everyone's contributed before, rather than injuries setting anyone back and stopping them coming back to a camp?
No, I didn't actually speak to him before we joined up. You know, like you said, you know, I've been injured. I know that a few of the lads haven't been playing, but I think, you know, you can't fault what certain people have done for this country when they've been given the chance. The likes of Harry, you know, even obviously Luke, Pickford, who have all been brilliant. You know, whether it was at the Euros or at the World Cup. So yeah, I'm sure they've probably had a chat with the manager. You know, we see it day in, day out at training how good of players they are. So yeah, I think, you know, it's fair enough.
And in terms of your relationship with Gareth Southgate and spending more time on the training ground and what you can do, you were coming on quite often as a substitute in the Euros, but that role's really building for you now. How has that changed, do you think?
No, honestly, I'm not just saying this. I have a great relationship with him. You know, I think I'm not too sure how many caps I've actually got now for England. You know, and they've all been under him. Like you touched on, you know, that I've obviously come on a lot during the Euros as a sub. But listen, I'd obviously love to play every game, but I'm here. You know, it's a squad. It's a big squad with top players all over. So if that was my role, then that's fine. I'll just do whatever I can, you know, to try and help the team.
It's 2 months till the World Cup kicks off.
It's crazy, isn't it? Someone said to me actually the other day that I think the England team meet up in 8 weeks. I think it was yesterday. So I think it's something, you know, everyone in the country, you know, can be so excited for. You know, when you look at the results of the last two competitions, the Euros and the World Cup in 2018, you know, they've been brilliant. So, you know, it's down to us now to try and go one further. And, you know, even when I've done press and stuff at the Euros, one thing that I loved is, you know, the way the whole country did come together for the World Cup and for the Euros. And hopefully, you know, we can do that again this year.
You've got Italy and Germany. Great pedigree, European champions. Germany, you did so well against. After the Nations League results, suddenly this England team that's reached a semi-final of a World Cup, a final of the Euros, like being written off. Do you kind of love the chance you've got a point that you can prove to come back as the underdogs again?
Rob just mentioned that about Kevin De Bruyne this year. No, listen, I think, you know, if you have a few bad results, you know, people are going to, you know, even jump on the bandwagon a little bit. Listen, I think before that, you know, everyone was saying how good we are and how, you know, how well we'd been doing. You know, we hadn't been beat, I think, over 90 minutes, was it, for so long. So, yeah, I wouldn't really say, you know, we're underdogs or anything. We know what talent we have in our dressing room. And like I said, one thing that I do love about when you go to these tournaments, or even when I watched as a fan, is how everyone comes together. So I'm sure we'll have the full support of everyone. And yeah, like you said, you know, 2 months, it can't come quick enough. I just obviously hope for myself, you know, that I'm playing regularly for Man City and performing, and hopefully, you know, I'll be on the plane.
And last question, because we're trying to start engaging in the magic of the World Cup. Can I take you back to being a kid in front of a TV? Do you remember your first big World Cup memory that maybe you went out and tried to execute some magic yourself? Do
you know what? World Cup, when I think back to an earliest memory of England, I'll just always go back to the Euro 2004 when Rooney burst onto the scene, and I remember he was just unbelievable. And obviously, you know, for me as a young kid watching then, you know, you looked at Rooney because he was like the youngster coming through, and that's who you wanted to be like. So that just sticks out. You know, I think he ended up scoring 4 or 5 goals maybe that tournament. I think he was only 18 or 19 as well. So that's just the one that sticks out for me. And obviously, you know, if I could get a goal at a major tournament for England, it would be unbelievable. One of the best moments of my life.
You're just talking about maybe trying to live up to Ronaldo with more goals and assists. But what has Haaland given you any insight into mentality or anything that you take from his game, anything he's taken from your game? I know it's a short period of time. Is there anything that you might be taking to a World Cup that Haaland can't take there?
Do you know what? He's listen, everywhere I go now, whether it be family, friends, people in the street, they always say, "What's he like? What's this?" And I can't speak highly enough of him. He's an unbelievable player as a person. He's a brilliant person. So humble for what he's achieved already. And I think, you say there, could you get anything off him? I actually think I could. His mindset for scoring goals is just unbelievable, honestly. And if I could get that, I know I come here and I spoke to Steve Holland earlier, and he was saying, "Was that actually you at the back stick scoring?" Because obviously that's something that I'm probably not known for, but it's something that I want to do more often. So if I could take anything, it'd be that.
Nat Pax?
Hiya. When you get injured so close to a World Cup, 2 games into the season, what went through your mind in terms of England? Did you have any worry? You're quite confident you'd be fit again fairly soon?
No, because at the start it was actually my knee that I thought. I don't know if you've seen I say challenge. No one even tackled me. It was just an action where I've gone over on it, and I thought the worst thing that I thought straight away was my knee. So yeah, straight away, you're thinking, like, could this be, a long-term injury or whatever? But once obviously, I had a scan and stuff, and I seen what it was, I knew I'd be back fairly quickly within a month or so. So, listen, but you always are thinking, it's the last squad before the World Cup, and you want to be here, you want to try and impress the manager. So yeah, it's always in the back of your mind. But fortunately for me, it weren't a long injury.
Don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but England are bottom of this group, coming off the back of a worst home defeat in, I think, 94 years. Some of the fans got on the back of the players at the end of that match. How much pressure is there to come in and deliver, especially knowing you've got 2 games to prove to Gareth, all of you, why you should be on that plane?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. That's what... For us, I think this is also, obviously, we want to go out there and win, but it's also like a pre-World Cup prep, really, because like I said earlier, we haven't got the camp to do that. I think the Premier League goes on, doesn't it, 8 days before the first game of the World Cup. So listen, everyone's here, trying to impress the manager and trying to get on that plane, and yeah, it's going to be difficult because you have so many top players in this squad. But it's down to us now to try and train well and even play well, and hopefully we can get 2 positive results in the next couple of games against, like I said, good opposition, and I'm sure that will put us in the right direction and go into the World Cup.
And just elaborate a bit more on what it would mean to you and your family if your name is one of the ones that we hear come November the 9th, 10th, when that squad is announced.
Yeah, no, honestly, it'd be unbelievable. I remember I always said that at the Euros last year. And obviously that was a little bit the same now, because I had my shin problems when I was at Villa. So I always had that in the back of my mind, thinking I need to get back fit for the Euros. But listen, I've said this to everyone, like that summer last year it was unbelievable, honestly, for 6 weeks or however long we were there. And because it was all COVID here, we couldn't really see our family and stuff like that. It was unbelievable. And it was one of them things where you didn't realise, how good it was until it had passed, really. The whole of the FA, from the backroom staff to everyone, for what they'd done for us for them 6 weeks was unbelievable. And, like I said earlier, the way the nation and stuff come together. So if I, carry on performing, I would be confident in myself. But yeah, fingers crossed.
Thanks, Nat. Can we get the mic to Jack Pitt-Brook over there?
Sorry, Jack.
Cheers, guys.
Hey, Jack. Obviously, this is the first time we've seen you guys since that Hungary game at Wolves 3 months ago. Have you guys done much reflecting on it and maybe how hurtful it was getting all that treatment from the England fans at the end?
Well, obviously we only met up yesterday. We only met up yesterday night, so we actually haven't yet. Whether we do, I'm not sure. I think there's certain games in your career where you just try and brush it under the table, and I think that was one. Obviously, we knew that it weren't a good enough performance and result from us. but yeah, obviously we're into a new camp now, and obviously it's a new season for all of us. So we're only looking forward, and we're looking forward to these next 2 games.
So do you think it's important that it doesn't disrupt or damage the sort of good vibe that you guys have been building with the English fans over the last sort of 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, of course, and I think that's what we do have here. We have such a good vibe with the fans and within ourselves as well. So I think it's important that we keep that going. I'm sure the England fans will. We've got, like I said, 2 big games coming up now, so I think that's what we're all looking forward to.
Okay, 3 in this section left, starting with James Ollie.
Hi, Jack. Just following on from that, I mean, the manager got quite a lot of stick from the fans after that game at full time at Molineux. Could you sort of believe that, given the progress that the team's made in the last 5 or 6 years under him?
I think it was harsh. Like I says, I think obviously the final last year and then the Hungary game at the start of the last camp. I think before that, the last time we'd lost a game was in over 90 minutes. I don't know. I think maybe was it Belgium in November 2020 or something. Yeah. So I think it was very harsh. And especially the World Cup and the Euros of how well the team done and the manager himself. I thought it was obviously harsh, but yeah, I think like what Rob said at the start. I think that's what sometimes you get, if you're English, and I've certainly had my fair share.
You mentioned starting 1 game at the Euros. With your experience of getting at City, you're 27 years old now, in peak years as a footballer traditionally, do you feel the next step for you is to go from being that impact player to being one of the main men for England?
Listen, I'd love to be, but then again, I know what impact I can bring from the bench. I'm not going to sit here and say, that's what I am here, just a bit like someone that just comes on. Because like I said, I started the 1 game at the Euros, which we won, and obviously I got an assist, so which I was over the moon about. But listen, the manager's the manager, and if him and his staff, decide whether to play me, I'll give my all. And also, if I'm on the bench, ready to come on as like a impact sub, you could say, I'm also ready for that.
But do you want it? Do you want that responsibility?
Of course, I'd love it. I wouldn't be here otherwise. I'd love to play every game. I feel like I deal with pressure well. I do feel like I can start playing a lot better. I probably haven't been playing at the top of my game since I've moved to City at the start of last season, but I think I've showed glimpses of it. And over the next 2 months especially, I'm just going to try and get my head down as much as I can and work so hard and hopefully good things will happen.
Thanks, James. John, did you have one? Yeah, Pastor John Murray there. Yeah.
Jack, has Gareth Southgate spoken to you already this week, and I mean the squad, about how every minute counts now, or has he left that to you all to work out for yourselves?
Well, he spoke to us last night. We had a little meeting. He didn't really speak about that, what you just touched on. I think we're all adults. We know that anyway. That at the moment every minute does count. Whether it's be on the training pitch, off the training pitch, or on a match day. So I think we all know that, and we just have to, like I say, embrace it and try and give the manager, no reason to leave us out.
Thanks, John. And we'll finish with Holly here.
Hi, Jack.
Hello, you're right.
Yeah, good, thanks. Obviously, you're good mates with Kalvin Phillips, so how devastating will it be if Kalvin doesn't make it to the World Cup this year, for you and for him as his mate?
Yeah, no, I love Kalv, honestly. I get on so well with him. I don't know. I obviously don't know how long it'll be, if he has an operation or whatever. One thing that I do know about Kalvin from my time that I've known him, how determined he is, and even just how fit he is. Listen, he's one of them players that could come back off been out for however long, and just them people that just have like a natural type of fitness. And I'm not even just saying that. And he has great determination. He loves playing for his country. I know that because I was with him last week. when he had a problem with his shoulder again, and I could see how devastated he was. But listen, Kalvin he'll do everything he can to try and get back fit in time, and I'm sure, you know, if he can, I'm sure he'll be there or thereabouts, and I hope he is.
Thanks. Okay, that ends that section.